Hey,
Hi,
Tatiana, right?
Andrew.
Hi.
Yes,
Yeah, nice to meet you.
nice to meet you too.
Well, great. Welcome to our first counseling session. How are you
Yeah.
doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
Yeah. Okay, I'm doing okay too. I feel like I haven't taken enough advantage of the nice weather outside, so
Mm,
looking forward to go kayaking with my family this weekend.
yeah,
Do you have any plans? Anything fun going on?
we're actually also thinking about going kayaking this weekend, so it's funny.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
Are you going to the lake, Keystone Road?
Yeah, that one. The Barker like.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, if there's just one lake in the city, I feel like everybody's gonna go there this weekend.
Oh.
Anyway, Tiziana, really nice to meet you. This is your informed consent form. You already went over this over email, but I just wanted to touch on a couple of things that are in there. Um, the purpose of informed consent is just to ensure you that you are getting the best possible care. And there's a list of reasons why. One, let's talk about confidentiality. So confidentiality in a counselor-client relationship means anything you say here is confidential. So I'm not going to go share this with anyone. I'm not going to speak with my wife, my family. Everything you say here is confidential. The only time that that would change is if you present harm to yourself or harm to someone else. Then I would want to keep you or that other person safe. Now reach out to local law enforcement just to make sure that you or that other person are safe. Um, Another issue might be if a judge, for some reason, issues a subpoena and has the right to look at some of the records that we've gone through without when we've been arrested, convicted. And,
I
yeah.
don't think you're good at that.
Well, good. The only other thing I want to mention in there too is I am a licensed and qualified professional. I've been through 8 years of school and a licensing exam here in the state of Virginia to get to where I am. And yeah, so anyways, that's informed consent. Is there anything on that paper or anything I just said that you go through?
No, not really.
Okay, it's all making sense.
Mhm.
Great. Well, we can refer back to that document at any time. If you feel like you're not getting the best possible care, just take a look at that and you can come back to it. Okay.
Mhm.
Perfect. Well, that's informed consent. Just want to talk with the limited amount of time we have, since this is our first session, we only have about 20 minutes. But in the first session, really want to talk about a couple of things. The first one being goals. So what would you say your reason for coming to counseling is?
I think my reasons for coming to counseling is that I think I have a couple of reasons.
Mm.
The first reason is that I'm very anxious recently, and it brings a lot of just like physically struggling with sleep and my routines.
Mm.
And second is that it's hard for me to like see myself positively, so that also things are connected somehow. But yeah,
You said that you feel like seeing yourself positively is connected to the feelings of anxiety.
seeing myself negatively is like connected to my feelings of anxiety. Like, um, I think they're connected. I don't know, but I don't feel as anxious when I like feel confident about myself. You know.
When That's really interesting. Thanks for sharing that. What are some times when you do feel confident?
It's hard to answer because I rarely feel like this about myself.
Mhm.
Um, I think, for example, like when it's a busy shift, I work in a coffee shop. When it's a busy shift, and I'm good at like managing things in the like chaotic, intense shifts. So um, when I'm like remaining calm and everyone is, you know, feeling overwhelmed around and running around and needs direction, and it gives them direction, and kind of like overlooking the operations, so the shift goes smoothly and customers are happy and the team is happy and calm and everyone celebrated this. Like in the end of those shifts, I feel like, and in the moments too, in the moment of being in this turmoil, I feel like I'm doing great. Like I'm feeling confident, and I don't feel any anxiety or nervousness, which is weird because this is like, you know, the most supposed to be like the most stressful time.
Yeah.
But I don't feel stressed on those shifts. I feel more of like, this is really interesting. I'm having fun. I'm applying myself. I know I'm doing it good. I know like people need me right now because I'm calm and they're stressed. So those are the moments when I think I feel confident about myself at work, you know?
That's a great answer. That's a great answer. So what I hear you saying a little bit here is your anxiety doesn't necessarily come from, well, doesn't come from stressful situations. In fact, you feel that you thrive in stressful situations. Am I correct there? Okay. So if your anxiety doesn't come from stressful situations, and earlier you were mentioning that you might feel like your tiredness or not being able to get enough sleep comes from anxiety. So if it's not from these stressful life things, right? Like working under pressure or even sounds like conflict, what would you say is something that makes you feel anxious in a moment?
I get anxious when I don't do anything, when I have to like rest after work. I feel like I have some like this ongoing list that I'm always late to complete. You know? So the most anxious I feel on my days off. Sorry.
Yep. So tired.
Yeah, big shift.
Yeah.
The most anxious I feel like on my days off. Definitely, it's hard to like um rest. And if I sleep in on my day off, I wake up anxious already. Gosh, it's already 10:30 and I have to make breakfast and I have to like go around and take a shower and like do all those things and journal and read and do all the things I like, and then like it's so overwhelming. And then when it goes really overwhelming, then I don't want to do anything and I just like sit on my phone my phone or like watch a TV show. So
very interesting. So I'm just going to rephrase a little bit of what you're saying, and maybe you can tell me if I'm on track. It sounds like a lot of your anxiety comes from not doing, not being active, or even when you know that you have things that you need to do, that makes you a little anxious too. Am I getting that right?
yeah, I always have something to do.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm finally done with my to-do list and like I can start my resting season. It's always, I guess I'm having a hard time balancing rest and work because I want to like finish everything and then rest, but I can't like finish my school before I rest. I need to learn to rest like in between classes or, homework and shift and stuff.
You said you have a to-do list. Do you actually use a to-do list to kind of monitor these things that you have to do? Or is that kind of more of a mental to-do list?
Sometimes I do the like whole list. I tend to write like 1,000 things when I start writing, and it's becomes like more source anxiety because I'll like start writing all these things and I only have like 8 hours to complete it.
Yeah.
I think it's because in my head, like I want everything to be perfect. I want everything to be done.
Yeah.
So I'll write all these things to be done, and then I tend to like start ignoring that list because it's too overwhelming, or I'm not like, or being disappointed in the end because I'm like, oh, I do like things. So it was this 15. I wrote it on my day off,
Yeah. Yeah.
So
looking at the list itself can sometimes be a form of anxiety.
Mhm.
What about when you have a list that is completed? What does that make you? Good? I mean, does it give you a sense of accomplishment? Does it, let's say you have a list of 10 things to do, and you've done 9 of them, but you can't do the 10th, ran out of time. How does that make you feel?
Not good.
Not good. What would you do in a situation?
Postpone. I think I would either like stay up late and do it, or just like postpone it to the next day.
Like move it from just to the next day? Mhm. Would the action of moving that 10th thing to the next day bring you a feeling of satisfaction? Or would it make you feel more anxious about what's to come tomorrow?
I think it helps me to rest in the moment. To think like, oh my gosh, now I moved this thing, so I have like
Okay.
time to rest. And at the moment, it feels good. The next day, it feels like more anxiety because I didn't do it yesterday.
So you're able, in this hypothetical example, you're able to move that to the next day and still accomplish that feeling of satisfaction. But in the back of your mind, you kind of know you still didn't complete it. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, well, it obviously depends on like what am I postponing. If it's like
Yeah.
planting flowers, then it's fun for me and I'm excited about this. But if it's like part of my homework, then I'd be like, why didn't I do it yesterday? It sucks because I have to do it, and it's like brings anxiety, and I'd rather be planting flowers.
So if you had a list full of planting flowers, it's okay to postpone those things. But if you have 2 flower-ish activities and 8 homework-ish activities, that would be pretty stressful, right? Gotcha. When you make a list, or if you make a list, do you tend to put things in like an order of priority, or do you just write out things that?
Just write out.
Yeah, I think making a list can be a great habit, but like you're saying, it can also be a source of stress sometimes. If you really do have too much to do, I mean, I can't think of a single human who can knock out their entire life to-do list in just a day. If that's sometimes an expectation or feeling, it can be a great source of stress. And I can see how going to work kind of lets you separate from those things that you need to do because you have a clear goal while you're at work, right? I need to manage the shift. I need to put out these little fires, so to speak. And when you do those, I imagine you feel some source of accomplishment throughout your shift. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay. How do you feel about setting long-term goals that allow you to manage your time a little bit? Like, for example, what is a goal that you have that has to do with time management that you feel is realistic in the short
I am a generally open-minded person, so I am happy to try things.
term?
I'll be honest, I did do like a couple of like time management groups, or like sessions with people, and I don't know if it's my personality that doesn't stick to it, or I'm like disciplined, or I don't know what is there, but it just like doesn't help me to be motivated to do it. It's just hard for me to like calendar or write priorities and build long-term goals and stuff like this. Especially when it comes to like putting it together and stuff. But I'm open to activity.
Tatiana, I really want to reassure you too that what you're struggling with is not uncommon. I struggle, and that time management is just something. It's really a habit. It takes a lot of motivation, it takes a lot of discipline, but having anxiety from the amount of things that need to be done is totally common. I, yeah, I empathize with you too because it can be really stressful. And I can see something beautiful in this too. and that you've learned how to channel some of those feelings into working hard. That shows me that you're not lazy, you're not, not motivated. You're um the opposite. It looks like you're doing a great job in work, especially, and I hope that you're um, showing recognition for that quality. And if anything, I would love to help you through these counseling sessions, kind of find that balance between work, life, and ease some of that stress.
Mhm.
So, do you mind if we do an activity? It's kind of like a
Yeah.
brainstorming goals activity. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you these pieces of paper, and I'm going to give you just let's do a minute and a half, okay, to write out some goals. They could be big goals, small goals. Um, it could be related to what we've been talking about. It can be something that we missed. Um, just start writing things that you want to do, right? And then what we're going to do is we're going to put them all out here. We're going to start organizing big to small and see if we can find a pattern towards an end goal, so to speak. Does that all make sense? Okay, so let's do a minute and a half and then we'll regroup. Okay?
I'd be making mistakes in life.
That's okay. No pressure to write as little or as much as you. This is your time to write. You can just help. Try to write maybe two. Okay, so let's spread them out a little bit. Maybe you can read some of them, all of them.
Okay. So going to bed earlier, spending time in nature, having time for myself, cooking my meals, rather cooking more, having a morning routine, reading, exercising, and journaling.
Okay, great. So I see a couple patterns here. Do you see anything, any patterns that you want to group these into?
Yeah. I have like having time for myself,
Mhm.
journaling.
Okay.
Time in nature, reading,
Okay.
and going to bed earlier, planning my routine.
What's this one say?
Cooking my
39 minutes. 39 times. Okay, so that's great. We got three groups here. Let's name the groups. So you said this one was um, kind of like spending time with yourself.
Yeah, I think this is just like stop. Maybe spend time in nature. We'll go here. Just
Okay.
like resting, growing. Like maturing. I don't know.
What do you mean by maturing?
Just like having time to regroup and observe.
Okay. Yeah, kind of like introspection time. To,
Yeah.
like think.
Yeah.
Be, meditate. Okay. How about this one?
This is more of like just healthy lifestyle, like I wanna be cooking more for myself and exercising more.
Great. And this one, spending time in nature is also a little bit a part of that, right? So we can draw an imaginary line here, connecting a little bit. Okay, and how about this one over here?
This is more about my work, like I have to wake up really early, I have to wake up at like 5:30 or like 5,
Mhm.
5:30. I have to leave my house at 5:30 to go to work, so before I had this job, I had a really not like such an early job, so I really had like a really good morning routine, which was very important for me. And now I feel like I don't have it, but it's something that sets my day, you know.
Yeah.
And go to bed early is also about my work because I have to wake up early, and if I don't have my morning routine, I can find to like balance it with my evening routine.
Yeah.
So I don't think like those two parts are balanced together.
Okay, so we only have about 5 minutes left, but what I want to do is start to look at some short-term and long-term goals. So with the pen, can you go ahead and put like a smiley face for the ones that you feel are easier to do and you do more often, more successfully? Maybe like a star on the ones that you feel sound like they take a little bit more effort.
Stores.
Okay, so having time for myself, exercising, having a morning routine. Okay, smile on reading, smile on spending time in nature, cooking my meals, and going to bed. Okay, so do you think it's fair to say that these four here can be kind of considered long term? Especially like I see this one, having morning routine. It's a little bit broad, so there's a few steps to get to that point, right?
Mhm.
So let's set that as one long-term goal. What do you think about that?
I don't even. I. It would be nice. I don't know if it's even possible at
Yeah.
this point to like have a morning routine, but
So that's kind of the purpose of doing this, right? It gives you a chance to say, this is what I want. And I don't really know how to achieve it. So we can take this, right?
Mhm.
Having a morning routine. So that's a goal that we don't really know how to achieve. So let's think of step 1, 2, and 3 to get to that point. So what do you say is like an essential piece of a morning routine? Is that making coffee? Is that making breakfast? Is it time to spend time with yourself?
it's fine. It's like having
Extra
time
time.
to, yeah.
Okay. So does going to bed earlier give you extra time? Do you feel more rested when you go to bed earlier? Okay. So let's put that as part of the goals because you put a smile on my face. That's a little easier to do. So this is, let's set this as one of your goals that we can consider a short term. So short term goals mean this week I'm going to go to bed earlier all 5 days. Does that sound easy or is it too much?
Too much.
Okay,
Maybe
what
like
sounds easier?
2 days or something.
3 days a week. So let's put I will go to bed early 3 days. Yeah?
Mhm.
Can you write that real quick? This one. 3 days. Okay, great. So between now and the next counseling session, let's set this in front of you.
Mhm.
Right? What's another valuable thing for your morning routine?
Having like a cup of tea or coffee.
Okay, gotcha. We have anything?
Uh,
What about cooking my
No.
meals?
No, cooking my meals are mine mostly like lunches and dinners.
Something
I don't need to have like like a big breakfast or anything. Just having a cup of tea and like granola, or a cup of yogurt.
something small.
Yeah,
Okay,
but just having this time to like sit and breathe and maybe journal a little
okay.
and feel like journal. We can put like journaling there.
Journaling? Okay, great. Journaling. But this
And-
one, so real quick, this one you put a star on. So do you feel like that, if you're adding something that you've identified as a little bit more difficult as a goal in your mornings to work on an already identified difficult goal, do you think that this could be a potential roadblock?
I put a star in journal because I want to journal more, but I always have like get so anxious about planning to journal and when to journal that I end up not doing.
Well,
Could
let's,
put reading.
yeah. Okay,
Like reading is good to do like read like a chapter from a fun book or something.
okay, let's do that. I'll write, go ahead and write, read one chapter. How many days? Just one a week? Okay, and then let's do make coffee or tea. Okay. Tea. Great, so here we go. We've got 3 things that you've identified as slightly easier to do than what feels like the bigger thing to do of having a morning routine. So this week, your goal is 3 of the 5 mornings that you wake up to go to work to make sure that you go to bed. Okay, so keep that as an action. 2, 1 chapter, at least 2 of those 5 days of the book, right? And then we have make tea. Is that all 5 days or? Okay, so let's put 5 days on that. Okay. And then we'll start to see the more long-term goal come into effect, having a morning routine. If you can do this for 1 week, you can do it for 2 weeks. If you can do it for 2, you start building a habit, right? So one thing I want to say about this too, how do you feel about this? Do you feel that these are reasonable?
Makes this so reasonable. I don't know if I'll be able to wake up so early.
Okay.
That's the hardest thing for me.
Gotcha.
Even if I go to bed earlier, just like I'll have to probably wake up like at 4:45 in the morning to do those things.
Yeah.
Which is sounds depressing to me.
Okay. So what we do with that, right? Find a source of motivation that makes you want to go to bed early. So what is something that you find consistently makes it hard for you to go to bed early?
The fact that I'm resting at night. I have
Okay.
time to rest. I like to watch a show, and I like to have a glass of wine and like, you know, finally have rest. This is my only peaceful time during the day, and I'm kind of defensive over it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
That
it's
makes
also the time where it's like I spend with my husband just resting because we are kind of busy and in the climb. We like do exercising and spend time apart most of the day. So this is the time where I'm with him.
Okay. And about how much time would you say you spend doing that before you go to bed?
So like 2 to 3 hours.
2 or 3 hours.
Mostly, I think 2 more. Than 3.
Great. So you get off work and then you have about 2 hours and then you go to bed. Okay. So maybe one of the things that we can do here is in between the time that you get off from work and the time that you go to bed, you can find a purposeful show. Are you guys watching a show like regularly? Okay. So maybe you can decide, hey, you can speak with your husband and say, this is really meaningful time for me. Let's make it a thing that we watch 2 episodes, but I make sure that I go to bed by 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Does that sound like it's doable?
I don't know. I'll have to try. Like this is new routine for me.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
I usually go to bed, and I'm more of an owl. So I don't know. I go to bed like 11.
Yeah.
At 11:30, 12 sometimes. That's way more natural for me than going to bed like at 9. feel like I'm missing on half of life when I go to bed.
Yeah, because you've worked so much.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Okay, well, Tatiana, I do want to say, I'm gonna go ahead and write 2 shows here. I want to say that this is an incredible start. I know that stress can be debilitating, and wanting to do things that you feel like you don't have time to do, even though, like you're saying, rest is such an important part of your day. You want to be able to have your morning routine because you feel like that would lessen feelings of stress, right? Because you love journaling, you love having time to be introspective, but you don't feel you get that. So I would say it's a great goal for this week to work on these 3 things and to remember every once in a while that it's okay if you go to bed at 10 o'clock instead of 9 o'clock. Or it's okay if you completely miss all 3 of these on Monday. The goal is to do 3 days, 1 day, and 5 days for 2, right? So don't get down on yourself if you miss one. Let's just talk about what didn't next time. How's that sound?
That's good.
How do you feel about this kind of goal setting?
Because I went through so many different things with time management stuff, I'll be honest, I'm a little skeptical, but willing to try.
If it doesn't work, we can try something else, that's for sure. There's not just one way to work on time management, that's definite. Cool. All right, Tatiana. Well, we are at the close of our session, but I do want to take a little bit of time just to open it up to you. If there's anything else you want to talk about, anything you feel we missed in our session today, anything else.
No, I think it was great. It was fun to write down like the things that I like. Just look at them.
Yeah, you've got a lot of really great ideas here, and I'm excited to work on them with you. I'm excited to hear what you experienced, what works for you this past week. I think you did a great job today too. And thank you for being open and learning about some of these things. I appreciate that. Yeah. Cool. Well, the last thing I do want to say, Tatiana, is when we spoke earlier, we talked about meeting once every week and doing $60 per session. Does that still sound good for you? Okay. And then how about we meet at the same time each week? If you need to reschedule, we can just call that.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, great. Well, Tatiana,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much for coming in today.
Of course.
Incredibly nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I love you.
I'm professional.